Welcome back to the Dividend Diplomats YouTube channel, everybody. You got Lanny and Bert here, the Dividend Diplomats, and we cannot wait to bring you another edition of a Dividend Stock Showdown.
Smash that subscribe button, give Bert and I a nice thumbs up, turn the mother sucker blue, break it, bend it, click it, look at it. You clicked it?
I think so. I see it. I heard the click.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it. Again, we're trying to get to 2,500 subscribers before the end of the year because the Dividend Diplomats, we want to bring you a dividend stock video based on a fun cameo appearance from the WWE.
Yeah, we cannot wait. I am trying to work on my impressions to get this video and make it as entertaining as we possibly can.
Every morning, you know, he's pretty much doing one.
Yeah.
Either The Undertaker, Hulk Hogan.
Paul Bear.
Paul Bear. He looks like him.
Yeah.
It's great. But today's video is going to be about a dividend stock battle. We're going to talk to you about two monster dividend stocks. We're going to put them head to head in the ring to see which dividend stock is the outcome winner of the battle, and you're going to know these two names full well.
And what's exciting is both of these companies just released earnings as well, so we have some updated information on you, and we can see how they're doing as they battle each other in this highly competitive consumer-driven sector.
Now, one of these dividend stocks, Bert owns in his portfolio and I own in my portfolio, and he's been buying shares of this stock relentlessly over the last few months. We both have decent sized position in this one dividend stock company, but the other one is the direct competitor. And I actually don't own shares in that competitor.
Yeah, I don't either. And quite frankly, it's kind of surprising that we haven't bought shares in this over the year because we've done this before where we'll just buy the top companies in an industry, except for this one.
I mean, I can assume that one of the reasons is because of dividend yield, and it could also be because of Dividend Aristocrat status.
Oh, those are two major ones. So
to reach Dividend Aristocrat status, for those that are new or that are trying to learn, Dividend Aristocrat is a company that's in the S&P 500 that has increased dividends nonstop for 25 consecutive years strong.
And why is that so important to us? Because we are dividend growth investors. We want to see, we don't just invest in dividend income, in dividend stocks just for the yield. We want to make sure that yield is growing over time too, so that we can continue increasing our purchasing power and that dividend income is not losing value over time due to inflation.
Yeah, you want that dividend growth spurt to keep going year after year. You don't want it to stop at age 9 like Bert.
Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm going to be 6 foot by the time I hit 40. I know it.
But Bert, I thought you were, I'm Bert, I'm 40.
Hey, nobody appreciates a late 30s growth spurt better than.
We are in our 30s. We aren't 40 yet.
Yes, no, we are. But regardless of the growth spurt, we still want to see these companies continue to increase their dividend over time. And that's why we have focused so much on investing in dividend aristocrats lately.
You're here on this channel. You're watching a dividend stock video. And the two companies are the two monster telecom companies here in the United States. But what are the two stocks we're about to talk about and put them head to head here?
All right, the first one is one of our top 5 foundation dividend stocks for your portfolio. It is AT&T, ticker symbol T. Come on, you guys should have known. You had to have known that.
You knew this. You know it.
Come on.
Come on, but you want to know what the second company is.
Yeah, is it T-Mobile, Lanny?
It is not T-Mobile.
I don't know why I would suggest it was T-Mobile when clearly the second company here is Verizon, ticker symbol VZ.
I call them Big Red, the V, the check mark, the VZ, the VZW, the overpriced phone plan that you have right now.
The sector is incredible for so many reasons. Regardless of the price of your phone plan, how many of you are watching this on your phone? Look out your window. How many of you are looking at people that are staring at their phones? When you go around shopping when you can, whenever you walk anywhere, you see anything, people are on their phones and they need to use one of these major carriers to provide it to them.
So there's a high likelihood that you've picked either Verizon or AT&T as your phone carrier. There are a few other ones, and I'm actually not on either of the two. But the reason why we're putting these two behemoth dividend stocks is because they both share very similar metrics. They both compete in very similar segments of their overall portfolio. And we really want to know, what's the better dividend stock to buy? If you had a choice between AT&T stock or Verizon stock to buy, what is the best stock?
Yeah, and that's why we cannot wait to dive in, and we'll do a little earnings release review here before we dive into the detailed numbers and pit them head to head. But this was a very important decision for you and for all of us as we continue to invest and find that best undervalued dividend growth stock.
And as always, when we perform our dividend stock analysis in battle, we put them through the Dividend Diplomats stock screener, and it focuses on 3 simple metrics. And those metrics are
P/E ratio less than the S&P 500, dividend payout ratio less than 60%, and that dividend growth history / dividend growth rate.
And then we'll always like to toss in, because I know income matters. We're all in this game because we want to build that passive income stream, or that secondary, or the third, or the however many income streams you have. We focus on the dividend yield as well, so that'll be a little bonus metric we'll toss in the analysis.
Yeah, yield doesn't drive our decisions, but it is a part of it, and that's why it's the bonus metric, but we go through our 3 fundamental analyses first.
So to start, we'll get into the price to earnings ratio. And Bert, what is AT&T's current price to earnings ratio? You know, here we are on October 24th filming.
Yeah. Their PE ratio is under 9. It's closer to 8.6. AT&T has been trading at a very low level, and their price continues to slide prior to this earnings release where they finally had an update. But it is trading at levels I haven't seen for AT&T in a while.
So below 9, and the stock market is trading at almost 35 times earnings.
It's insanity.
Overvaluation right there on the overall market as comparative to earnings.
Yeah, but undervaluation here for AT&T, and that's why we continue to buy them.
So how does that stack up against Verizon Wireless's stock price and their forward earnings expectations? Well, they don't quite get below 9 for Verizon Wireless. Verizon Wireless's price to earnings ratio is under 12 at approximately 11.6. Again, undervalued as well comparative to the market, but a comparative to the competitor in the ring.
It looks like AT&T is the cheaper of the 2 companies.
They are the cheaper of the 2, but could that be because of the debt level?
That's a conversation for later in the video, isn't it?
Wow, hot take.
Yeah, so let's move on to metric number 2 here, the dividend payout ratio. AT&T's dividend payout ratio is 65%, just a smidge above that 60% threshold that we use. However, there's plenty of room at the top before they hit that 100% and they're paying out more than they're earning. So overall, we've said it a million times here on our channel. Check back on the 8,000 videos we've had lately about AT&T. We are not concerned about that 65% dividend payout ratio.
8,000 videos. Maybe 3.
Yeah, maybe 3. It's all about the bigger. No, I'm kidding. So what's Verizon's payout ratio?
Verizon's dividend payout ratio, you can argue, is in that perfect payout ratio spot. In fact, it's right around 51%.
Yeah, that is right in that sweet 40 to, that's actually right in the middle of that 40 to 60% range, right in the sweet spot of that old Louisville slugger.
So what does that mean? Well, Verizon likes to reinvest half their earnings back in their business, probably to grow its 5G and try to beat AT&T at 5G at the masses, but they also like to pay 50% of their earnings back to you, the shareholder.
I love it. So the third metric of our dividend stock screener here is the dividend growth history. We mentioned earlier AT&T has that sweet old Dividend Aristocrat. They've increased their dividend for over 30 consecutive years.
Wow.
Their dividend growth rate is just around 2% as they increase their dividend around 1 cent per quarter pretty religiously. I haven't seen them move off that 1 cent per quarter annual increase for a while now.
Hey, it beats inflation.
And yeah, it does.
What more could you ask for?
We could ask for a lot more, obviously, but with their yield and their dividend growth rate combination, I'm satisfied. What about Verizon?
Verizon goes in for the clothesline and AT&T ducks, so Verizon misses because Verizon, they're building their track history. They're heading on towards 15 years of dividend growth rate increases, you know, just taking one step at a time, 1 year at a time. Obviously, AT&T has the history of being a company for longer. You know, Verizon, you know, they're a long-term company, but they just don't have that Dividend Aristocrat status yet. And their surprisingly growth rate is right around the same as AT&T. You know, you're going to get that 1.5% to 2.5% like AT&T.
So what I am hearing from you is Verizon went in for the clothesline, AT&T ducked. By the time Verizon turned around, AT&T came in with the sweet chin music there for that final.
Yeah, they tuned up the band and drop kicked right there, right in the VZ's face. But let's look at the bonus dividend stock metric of the dividend yield. And hang on to your seat, grab the coffee, grab your loved ones, because you're gonna hear this.
Hope you didn't eat the colon blow this morning, because we are about to blow your minds here with the dividend yield. AT&T's dividend yield is just around 7.5%. It was higher up until after earnings when their stock finally appreciated. Ooh-wee. So AT&T obviously has a very strong and high dividend yield. That shouldn't surprise anybody based on our talk of the market lately and some of our 8,000 YouTube videos that I keep bringing up about AT&T.
So a 7.5% dividend yield. That is so hard to beat. Obviously, as an investor, as a sidestep for financial education, you don't want to chase dividend yield just because they have a high yield, because the sustainability of that dividend yield, comes into question. But I know AT&T and their CEO has made continuous commitments to not only manage and pay down debt, but to continue to manage cash flow to sustain and build that dividend payment.
Yeah, and that's huge, because again, this is why we put dividend yield at the end of our stock screener. If we were leading with dividend yield, it may change the outcome for some investors. Not for us. We make sure that it's a safe dividend, we're comfortable with the payout ratio, and then we look at the dividend yield after. So Lanny, what's Verizon?
All right, so Verizon's climbing the turnbuckle. They see AT&T there, but Verizon's dividend yield, I say only, but it's a very solid dividend yield.
Yeah.
The yield is over 4.3%, which again is well over 2, if not gets close to 3 times what the S&P 500 currently yields in that 1.6 to 1.7% range. And obviously it's getting closer to 10 times what you can earn on your idle cash sitting in that poultry of a savings account.
So look, both companies have solid dividend yields. That should be what your takeaway from this is. It's going to be hard to match the 7.5% yield for AT&T for Verizon, but a 4.3 dividend yield for Verizon, fantastic from our standpoint.
It's great for income investors because it's a steady stream of cash flow that grows. If you want more of an income stream, then AT&T takes the cake. Obviously you always want to make sure that they meet the first 3 Dividend Diplomat stock screener metrics, because that's about undervaluation, safety, and consistency in your growing income. So you want to make sure that they meet those three stock metrics first, because who cares about the last one if it's an overvalued stock, if the payout ratio is over 100%, where they're paying out more than that they earn, or that they just don't have a track record of growing that income.
Yeah, and that's key, Lanny. I couldn't have said it any better myself.
All right, Bert. So we just analyzed AT&T and Verizon. AT&T, they meet all the metrics with the 7.5% yield. Verizon, they meet all the Dividend Diplomat stock metrics with the 4.3% yield. But what's your take? Talk to me about, AT&T a little bit on, before we make a decision on who wins the battle, what happened with AT&T's earnings?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, Lanny. I think what was great about AT&T in this earnings release leading into there, I think everybody was just expecting terrible news from AT&T there. At least that was the sentiment, as their stock price just continued to plummet throughout the week, which is why we added some shares before the earnings release. But what we saw in their earnings were that their HBO Max subscriber base continued to grow, and that they had some growth elsewhere as well in the company. But what I really liked about the HBO Max is, in my mind, that's what sets me apart with AT&T versus some of their other competitors, such as Verizon. AT&T isn't just a wireless communications or an internet company. They're also a media giant with that Time Warner acquisition. So they've been figuring out over the last few years what's the best way to integrate all this new content they purchased. They bought all the Time Warner, TNT, CNN, all those items. They have the massive HBO portfolio. So how do you best utilize this and match some of your other competition, such as your Disney Plus, your Apple TV, your Netflix, your Amazon Prime? AT&T is also in that arena. So this newly launched HBO Max, seeing the subscriber growth and seeing the progress going forward was huge news for me in my eyes. And that's what got me really excited about their recent earnings release.
Yeah, I mean, AT&T's stock price reacted fairly well towards the earnings release day and afterwards, just with the future of streaming and creating content. And to talk a little bit about Verizon before we hear your take on who's the better dividend stock to buy even in this scenario. But Verizon also beat earnings. They had a decline in revenue, but they used that reason to blame Apple because of their delay in the iPhone 12 release. I think it was pushed back by about a month. So that impacted that quarter. Because it wasn't in the quarter that they were able to even put out the plans and the new promotions and the free, get this new plan for a free iPhone 12. So Apple actually impacted not just AT&T, but impacted every mobile carrier. But they actually had a net added from a postpaid phone subscribers, so they beat estimates there. So revenue fell because of Apple. Adjusted earnings, they beat those estimates by quite a few cents. So they actually put out an expectation next year of some small minor growth going into 2020. So
but that's huge, because their earnings range before was from a negative 2% growth to a 2% growth. So now them adjusting it to where even just 0% to 2%, that's a huge victory. That shows things have gotten better for Verizon over the last quarter.
All right, Bert, AT&T versus Verizon. Who is the better dividend stock?
Man, this is tough. I mean, looking through the metrics, both of them performed very well in our dividend stock screener. Both had strong earnings during this last year. AT&T has the longer dividend growth history. However, Verizon isn't some slouch of dividend growth either. They've increased their dividend for 14 years. Their yield isn't as high, but it's still very strong. Man, it's really hard to pick one of these, if you ask me, because I could see an argument for both companies. In fact, I personally think I like both of the companies coming out of this. I don't think they should just team up as a tag team, and that's what we'll get the tag team belt going here.
One thing to consider is, if you had $100 or $1,000, my take is you can always do a 65-35 split.
Yeah.
You could put 65% to AT&T, grab some more of that yield with the Aristocrat status, and put 35% maybe in Verizon and get some more of that, competitor / 5G / focus on, kind of that piece, of the pie.
Yeah. What about you, Lanny?
Again, I go with you where there's not one that's better than the other. It depends on what your appetite is. Because AT&T being in that content and that debt level that they have, it's a lot to manage. So again, maybe doing a split if you're interested. Both are great dividend stocks to buy and own.
There's nothing more to it. Sometimes we can just get doing analysis and say both look great. You don't have to have one is significantly better than the other.
But only one wins the belt.
I mean, I guess, okay, if we're going to have to say one
3,
that holds up the
2,
belt.
1.
I've been buying AT&T, so I have to, in my mind, put where my money, back up my action to this decision. I guess I would have to hand AT&T the belt.
You heard it here.
But I think what we should do is we should take this back to WrestleMania again and make this a continuous series between the two companies.
All right, we'll match them up then in a few more months. We'll see what the year-end earnings looks like.
All right, Lanny, 3, 2, 1, who are you picking?
I'm on the sidelines. Only because, not one's a real screamer. I mean, AT&T because of the yield, but again, I'm just more curious. If you don't own either, again, I say if you're interested in telecommunications, do a split. However you want to split it, just so you can get a piece of both, would be a thought. Again, do your own investment decisions. This is just our take. But share us what you think in the comments.
Everyone,
feedback.
3, 2, 1, put the winner in the comment section. Let's see what you think.
Yeah, please. Again, we'll put all the links to all the tools that we used here to analyze the 2 dividend stocks and stocks to buy, our stock screener, our dividend portfolios, our prior videos as well. Please, again, leave any questions you have on anything we talked about because we want to help you on your journey.
Yeah.
Anything else, Bert?
Nope. I think that pretty much covers it. Let us know if there are any other companies you want us to pit against each other for future videos. This is Lanny and Bert from the Dividend Diplomats. Over and out.